Well, Mr. Consultant, I know you guys like to boil things down to short 3-word bursts. He says, let me give you one. It's leadership, stupid.
Bill Catlette, co-author of the critically acclaimed book, Contented Cows Give Better Milk, speaks to management audiences about the bottom line benefits of having a capably led, focused, and fired up workforce.
The organizations that are employers of choice, they know what they stand for. They know what's important. They know what it takes to be successful there.
Fasten your seatbelt. Bill Catlette brings his vast experience and passion to make audiences sit up and take notice.
In an age when speed, flexibility, and flawless execution have become the critical success factors for a business, and they have. You can't get there without doing the kinds of things that make your organization an employer of choice. Period. Motivated people move faster. People want meaningful work, work they can be proud of. They want suitable challenge and the freedom to pursue it. They want to be in the game, not on the bench. You can do that in your business. There are a few simple things that these companies are doing religiously, and the things that I'm going to suggest that you have to do day in and day out if you really want to extract the discretionary energy that resides within your workforce. They're simple to understand, and they're not new.
Hi, I'm Bill Catlette. Good speeches don't just happen. They involve a lot of preparation, well prior to the event date and in the wee hours of the big day. In my book, working with a professional means you never have to wonder if they're doing all the little things they should be. It's 4 a.m., and it's just the hotel night shift and me, getting ready for your big day. First things first, let's check the room out. Good, we can see the exit signs just fine in a dark room. You may not worry about those things, but I do. Good, most of the AV stuff is set up so we can go ahead and do the sound check. We'll do the projector and run through the slides later. In the meantime, I want to meet these guys because they can make us look good or bad. You won't see this kind of stuff in most speaker demo videos. I think you should, because it speaks to a level of professionalism that you should expect, and one that you're certainly paying for. What we did was, we just to keep our facts straight, we looked at each company's financials over a 10-year period from 1986 through 1995, as reported by Moody's. So if you don't believe what I'm putting up here, you can check it yourself. The companies we identified as contented cows outgrew their counterparts by a margin of 4-to-1. They were anywhere from 2 to 5 times as productive. They out-earned them by $40 billion US over the 10-year period, generated a lot more jobs and a lot more wealth for shareholders. For the benefit of the real hard-bitten skeptics who would say, Bill, maybe you and this Haddon guy were just clever enough to find the right companies and the right time frame and the right metrics to line up and make your little argument for you. We said, okay, let's do something on a going forward basis. In March of 1998, I sent a letter to a guy named Bob Stansky, who runs the Magellan Fund for Fidelity Investments, and challenged him to a little duel. We said we think that our little Contented Cow Fund, which is comprised entirely of employers of choice, and by the way, it's co-managed by my son's then 24-year-old broker roommate, who just passed his Series 7 exam, can beat the biggest, baddest mutual fund on the planet. And at the end of the 12 months, you know what happened? We kicked their butt. So there you have it. Employers of choice have a nasty habit of growing faster, being more productive, making more money, generating more jobs, more wealth. Game, set, match. I mean, we could have included a host of others, including some of my own personal favorites like Marriott, Johnson & Johnson, Intel. And yes, these companies are all headquartered in the States. But I'll bet my bottom dollar that we could have just as easily selected some of their Canadian counterparts. I mean, organizations like Canadian Tire, Alberta Energy, Maritime Life, and Trimark Financial, and the results that I'm about to show you would have turned out pretty much the same. By the way, I read recently where Trimark Financial, they've actually got a officially sanctioned nap areas in their office where it's okay to go in there and doze off. And we call those things meeting rooms in the States, but I just wanted to see if it was true.
And I think another point of reality is that employers of choice have at their bedrock this notion that sensible employee relations practices are what matters. And I'll underscore the term sensible. Because there's too many people out there trying to do all kinds of goofy stuff to hire, retrain, supposedly motivate people. In fact, if you saw yesterday's USA Today cover article right at the very top, that's exactly what it was about all the, the pet insurance, and there's no rules, and people can do this and do that, and the fact that it hasn't worked, and no, it's not going to work. Think about every single major achievement in the history of mankind. And I'd be willing to bet that you can find that there was some serious, big-time commitment on the part of one or more people. To wit, Chris Columbus, had plenty of good reasons to say, these maps ain't very good. I think I'll wait until we get some better ones. Alan Shepard might have said, hey, why don't we send some more monkeys up before I strap my butt to this relatively untested rocket? And to be sure, Martin Luther King Jr. had plenty of good reasons not to go to Selma, Alabama. But in every single one of these cases, these folks were seriously committed. Capital C.
And every day a lot of us wimp out. We throw our hands in the air and we say, oh, all the good people have jobs already. How is it, then, that a company like Marriott, it feels weird saying this in the Holiday Inn, but too bad it's true. Company like Marriott, whose jobs don't exactly have world-class excitement factor, manages to get 150,000 people to show up every day, answer the phones, check you in, clean your rooms, do all that stuff very well, and by the way, be unfailingly polite in the process. I'll submit it has a lot to do with Bill Marriott's 12 rules for success, the ninth of which says, it's more important to hire people with the right qualities than with specific work experience. Round pegs, round holes. When I was at FedEx, we were besieged all the time with questions from applicants about why can't we wear a beard? It was mainly the males that made that request, but each time we'd patiently tell us, you can wear a beard, you just can't do it and work here. The reason being that in thousands of customer focus group sessions, our customers had told us that they really preferred the clean-cut look of our people, our equipment, and everything else, and the way we saw it, as much money as they were paying to do business with us, that's probably the least we can do. There's a huge difference between having a mission statement and a bunch of T-shirts and plaques and banners and stuff with all that junk on it and having a credible sense of mission that people really buy into. Most of us spend entirely too much time trying to get the words just right. Nowhere near enough time trying to make sure people really understand it. And in the spirit of fairness, here's one where my alma mater, FedEx, screwed up. In the winter of 1982, the senior leadership team went off to some mountaintop retreat accompanied by a high-paid consultant to figure out where they wanted to take the company in the years ahead. Well, that's fine. You got to do that. But when they came back down off the mountain several days later, here they came with real stone tablets, looked just like that, with the newly minted mission statement carved into it. And we made sure that all then 60-some thousand employees got one of these rocks. And we said, okay, our job's done. We've done this mission thing. Never mind the fact that a bunch of our employees couldn't even pronounce some of the words on this thing. And I can assure you, as we're here, 20 years later, nobody cares and nobody remembers. It's another company, it's a client of ours, taking a little bit of a different tack. It's an outfit called Chick-fil-A. They put this a little bit more simply. Now, I want you to pretend you're at your eye doctor, okay? You're getting your annual eye exam. You tell me which is clearer, slide A or slide B.
Recently, I conducted a seminar at the Marriott Suites Hotel outside of Dulles Airport. About an hour and a half before the seminar, I went downstairs to the meeting room to check it out. I walk in, and we got problems. The AV stuff that's supposed to be there is not there. The room setup is wrong. By the way, it's my fault, not theirs. I immediately start looking for somebody, a meeting coordinator type person to help me out. And I only see one human being in view, and it's a lady at the end of the hall serving coffee and breakfast rolls. She noticed me right away. She came over. She says, "How can I help?" And I explained to her, my problem, and frankly, didn't have a lot of hope. I mean, she's a waitress, for crying out loud. She says, and looked at me right in the eye, and with a voice that told me she meant business. She says, "No problem." I said, "No, you don't understand. I mean, I've got to go back to my guest room, change clothes, come back here in about an hour, and this needs to be done." She hands me her business card, says, "Sir, go into your room, do what you have to do, come on back, it'll be taken care of." Hour later, I come back, it's dead perfect. Later on at the break, I sought out my new friend Annie. I said, how is it that a banquet server comes to deal with AV equipment and room setup and yo-yos like me? She says, "Sir, these meeting rooms are my responsibility. I make sure my customers have what they need." Put that in a bottle and sell it.
More recently, a lot more recently, in New York City, Chief Peter Gansey of the New York City Fire Department went to the World Trade Center disaster site to be with the men and women in his command, purely to support them. There was no other reason for him to be there. He wasn't pulling a hose, and he wasn't telling people what to do. Some people would say, that was a dumb decision because it cost him his life. I'll submit there's another point of view, and that is that maybe, just maybe, the chief's leadership is the very reason those people were and still are on the scene doing a very ugly job.